Well, I wanted to show you guys what happened to the car the other night when I was staying at the Radisson Hotel in Kitchener. So I came out in the morning, I see this. Hold on. Let me where's my... I was trying to get rid of these scratches. Yeah, you see, first of all, they tried to lift the trunk lid, so they put these scratches over here. You see the rubber now is like this, but I don't see any damage in there, but just I don't like this gap. But you see the scratch here, here, and then here they put a scratch here, and I'm not sure why, but they tried to detach this piece. I don't know, maybe they try to steal the camera because the lock is here, right? I'm not sure what they were trying to do there, but the most damage is here. Again, I was trying to get rid of the couple of small scratches, so there's one here and one here, but I'm gonna fix them. I watched the video on how to fix these. Now they actually look much better, and all I did was I used this stuff, but now I know that that's just polish. So you need to use a sandpaper and some soapy water. Like, I found a very cool video online where a guy explains in like 5 steps how to fix this, because this is just a clear coat. It's not the paint damage, it's just a clear coat, and it's very easily fixed. But look at this, they kind of like knifed out, probably using a screwdriver, this piece. They were trying to break this window, and you see they put scratches on this, damaged this. And so I went to a collision shop, you know, at Chrysler, and they said, oh, we no longer do collisions, go to Bennett Chevrolet. And I went there, I showed it to them, and she says, well, this is not collision work. She says, this piece, this is film. Turns out this thing, I opened the door and she showed me that this piece is just film. So it can be, oh, you see another scratch in here. So this can be easily replaceable, and this is just this piece here, the bottom piece, right? And so I went to Chrysler, and they said this is all one piece, there's no film separate, but like you have to replace this part here, comes with this, and it comes with this. So this will be new, right? They have that, and also I got the yeah, this looks now real ugly, you know. And also I ordered this piece. This piece is like $100, this small plastic piece. And again, that's just, I was trying to, because yeah, they put some scratches in there too. But again, I'm gonna buy some wax. That's what the guy said. You need soapy water, sandpaper, I know the size, and then you need wax, and then you need polish, and that's what I have, polish, and this will be gone. It takes freaking time, right? So 2 here, and then 1 small here, but I know they easily. So this will be gone, this will be new. The only problem is that, of course, now there's a shortage of parts. Chrysler says to get this piece, it's 3 to 4 weeks. And so now basically they're supposed to call me this morning. They should have this part and that bezel over there. And yesterday I talked to these guys at OK Tire that usually help me out with some repairs, and they said, yeah, bring it over. Oh, and another funny thing is that that part, the top, this top part over here, see, Chrysler gave me this. So that's the rear window. So this 9 is the bottom part, and then there's a fastener in there, number 6, and this here, this is 8, is the top part, and it needs 2 fasteners in the back. And guess what? Those fasteners are $4 each, but okay, but they don't have them in stock. Like, what? Like, nobody has anything in stock, you know. That's the problem with this. When you get damaged like this, it's you know. But yeah, the other guy was saying, I read a kind of like alarming comment where the guy was saying what they do is they break in, and then they use your port. They use your port in there, you know, to your ECM, and they hook it up, and what they do is they have some, let's say, blank keys, and they reprogram those keys, and then they do something with the transmission. If it's locked, and basically then they can drive away. But what's interesting is that I checked the list of top 10 stolen vehicles, and my car is not on that list. One guy was saying he lost a Hellcat. Somebody broke in like this through that window. But the top 3 are Ford F-150, and then I think GMC, basically pickup trucks, especially when they're fancy, right? Pickup trucks, and I think like Honda CR-V, and there was a Chrysler, but only minivans, because I'm guessing they're easy to steal or something. People steal minivans. And one guy said, I wouldn't advertise 5.7, you know, I would remove the decal, I just put it on. Come on. I had a Dodge Challenger where it clearly said on the side 392, so 6.4 liter engine, right? So, and I never had any issues with that one. So I don't know. So yeah, now I'm just gonna go and check with the Chrysler, see if they received my parts. I have the receipt, everything is cool. And yeah, my plans now changed a little bit, so I'm hoping to leave tomorrow maybe. Today I'm getting my new cameras. So that D6, they did refund it. I was really afraid that, you know, that gray market sale, I bought that super expensive D6, Nikon D6, and it looked and felt super nice, but then it had issues, right? When it by itself, it worked fine, but as soon as I would attach a lens, it would start losing autofocus, and then all the buttons go dark, you know, go off, and basically it was freezing. And so I sent it back to them, and they said, we're gonna inspect it. If we find that the camera is not defective, we're gonna charge you 10% restocking fee. And that camera was $5,700 US, so 570 bucks. You know, it's pretty steep as a penalty, right? But I was pretty sure it was defective, so I made sure I packed it tight. You know, I took it to a UPS store. They packed it super nice, you know, lots of extra protection in there. And I made sure I put the RMA, you know, return authorization number, on the top 2-3 times, because again, these guys were looking for an excuse, because they're saying that something was like really missing. If you don't put all the accessories in, they will just return it to you at your cost, and they will refuse to refund it. I'm like, man, now I'm stuck with a $5,700 dud. And then yesterday they called me, Mr. Dratchev, we received your camera. We hired a technician. We had a guy come over to take a look. He couldn't find anything wrong with the camera, which is funny, because, you know, after I send the camera off into the distance, and by the way, it cost me $400 Canadian, because it's heavy, right? It's big. The package was big, but you know, it's a lot of money. You want to, oh, and I needed insurance for $5,700, right? So it was super expensive to send back. But and then I sent it back, and you know how sometimes you have a problem and you're not even aware that your brain is working on the problem in the background somewhere. And all of a sudden, I'm lying in bed. All of a sudden, an idea occurs to me. I open my computer and I open Google and I type Sigma lens issues with Nikon D6. And guess what? There's a bunch of complaints online. Turns out that Sigma, for some reason, it's always this Sigma. I'm telling you, I want to get rid of all the non-Nikon lenses, but I only have one, Sigma 135, but it's a nice lens. But turns out that lens is on the list of not compatible lenses. What? Like that same lens worked fine on my Nikon D850, right? It worked fine on 780. Did I have it back then? Yeah. Well, there was no issues, right? But turns out on a D6 there was a problem for some reason. Maybe because of the you know, how fast the camera can shoot or something like that, because this camera can do like 14 frames a second, right? But anyway, so Sigma was aware of the problem and they released firmware update. But of course, in order to install that firmware update onto the lens, now you need to buy, because I didn't have it, you need to buy a Sigma dock, like a little thing that hooks up to your computer, and you have to have that free software. But the dock, I think, is like 70 bucks, but I don't want to carry all this stuff around because I have so many accessories, right? And so it turns out it was the lens. And now this lady calls me and she says, yeah, we couldn't find anything defective with the camera. I said, okay, I understand, you have to charge me 10%. But to their benefit, to be fair, I should say that they were fair, and they did not charge me the full 570 bucks. I think they charged me like 350. So they still returned over $5,000, you know. So which is cool, because I was getting nervous, you know. It's a lot of money and buying from a gray market, but if everything was cool, I would have saved, how much would I have saved? 1,100 bucks compared to buying new from a US retailer such as, let's say, B&H Photo, because over there it was like 6,800 or 6,500. It's like totally crazy. But you know, I'm going on this kind of like once in a lifetime wildlife photography journey, so I needed a nice camera. I'm 60 years old, Christmas comes early this year, but it was not in the cards, you know, and I didn't see myself spending $6,800 US for a camera. I'm not a professional photographer, I'm a semi-professional photographer, because I do get sometimes my pictures sold, right? And so anyway, so they did refund that, and so now today I'm getting 2 cameras directly from Nikon. And my local photography store, you know, I used to go to this Henry's here in Ontario, and in Eastern Canada we have Henry's photo store. These guys used to be very nice, very good, but now they have nothing in stock. You know, you check cameras, lenses, nothing. Then I go to the Nikon website, Nikon Canada, nikon.ca. They have the cameras, they have the lens, and so I got 2 cameras, because you need a backup camera or a second camera when you do something that you might not have a chance again to do, you know. And so I got a well, I'll show you when I do the unboxing video. We'll talk about this. If you're curious about my photography gear, we'll talk about this in the later video. But also about my trip. I wanted to go to Florida and then to Yellowstone, but then, you know, I realized that, you know, winter is coming, right? So cold weather is coming, and nothing's gonna happen to Florida. It can wait. So I decided to go to Yellowstone first and then go to Florida and maybe spend the winter there and start taking some, you know, freight broker courses and get ready for my new career as a freight broker. But then I look at the distances. So Yellowstone from here is 3,000 clicks, which is roughly, basically almost 2,000 miles. From Yellowstone to Florida, it's 4,000 clicks, 3,000 miles. And I'm thinking that's just too much, you know. And I was looking at the rents, because you gotta live somewhere, right? I don't have my truck anymore, and rentals are crazy. Back when I was renting, I think I was paying like 450 bucks for kind of like shared accommodation, like in a house. And then I was paying, I think, $600 or $700 for kind of like a studio. I think $1,000 Canadian again, like some 10-15 years ago. $1,000, that was a nice apartment in a multi-story apartment building. But now it's 2,000 Canadian, you know. Or there was one listed in downtown Guelph, 1,500, I think, yeah, 1 bedroom, no AC. So I sent them a message. I said, hey, you know, in Canada, we do get some, you know, pretty hot temperatures in the summer as well. It can be plus 40 C, you know, like 90 F, 88 F. Like, how do you live without AC, you know? They never responded. So basically, a decent apartment with AC, with everything, with the parking, you know, $2,000. And hotels went up in price. Crazy, whereas before I was paying like 80 bucks Canadian, now it's like 200 Canadian. 200 Canadian times 30, that's $6,000, right? So that's definitely option that I cannot pursue. And so I'm thinking, wait a second. So these guys want $2,000 for a rental. Let's see, how much would be a mortgage, you know? And so I found a couple of these mortgage calculators online. Turns out it's the same or cheaper to buy, if you can find a property under $200,000 Canadian, it's going to be cheaper to buy than to rent. And so I started looking in Ontario. Okay, you can buy a nice mobile home for that money somewhere, you know, 6 hours north, where there's a lot of mosquitoes and everybody speaks French. And then I started looking in, I have a couple of friends in Alberta, so I put in, no, actually I was looking at Ontario, but then, you know, when you switch to the map view on Realtor website, you know, you guys in the States, you have realtor.com, and here we have realtor.ca, same stuff. And so I put in Ontario, but when I was looking at it with the map view, it showed me a bit of a Western Canada, and then there's a column there on the left with the cheapest properties, and I see, wait a second, Calgary, Alberta, 145, 165, 190, what? So I started looking over there. Turns out you can buy a decent apartment, like a condo, in Alberta. So I think I'm moving, because rentals here are too crazy. I cannot buy anything here. It's like $1 million here to buy a house or even a townhouse. And so that's the plan, boys and girls. So the plan is to go on a wildlife photography safari, and there's actually 3 parks on the way from here. So first I'm gonna stop just straight west through Chicago. First there's a Badlands National Park, and then you keep going west, there's a Casper State Park, and then the last one I'm gonna visit is Yellowstone National Park. And then you drive 500 miles or 800 clicks north, and you are in Alberta, right? Of course, the winter is coming. It's not a very good time to visit Alberta, but I reached out to a couple of brokers, talked to a couple of guys via email. So I said I'm coming, probably, you know, like after I'm done with the parks. Instead of going back to Florida, I'm just gonna go north to Alberta and spend some time, you know, looking at affordable apartments over there, because I can afford like 5% down, because I'm still considered a first-time buyer, because it's been more than 10 years since I owned a property. Because when I had that old condo in Guelph, Ontario, a long time ago, but I only owned it for like a couple of years. I was never there. Tried to rent it, it didn't work. People would call me at 3 a.m. in the morning complaining about taps leaking, you know, and I'm in Texas, so like, what do you want me to do? So anyway, that's what's gonna happen, boys and girls. So the trucking part of my life is over, and I've been in Ontario since '97 when I came to Canada, so it's time to try something different. So I'm changing careers, and chances are I'm changing my residence. And the only thing I don't like about Alberta, no, first off, what's cool about Alberta is that I love those mountains. You know, there's Banff, Jasper, all those national parks in there. BC is 1 day away with the Pacific Ocean. You can go to Victoria Island, and then Yellowstone is only 1 day away. Instead of here, it's 4 days away or 5 days away, right? So that part of US and Canada is much more appealing, especially when you are like me into wildlife photography and, you know, let's say recreational shooting, right? I just actually applied for my license, so should get an answer probably in a couple of months. And this is still Canada. I know the rules because I wanted to go to US, but just US, it's, you know, it's okay to visit, but living there, since I'm Canadian, I don't want to be involved in the US income tax system, right? I pay my taxes here. And so, yeah. Oh, and Calgary itself, there's lots of wildlife. They have a bunch of parks in there. I was researching last time I was there, like southeast corner of the city. There's I forgot what it's called, but you can see like wolves and, you know, foxes and even bears sometimes over there. So, and I read a interview with a photographer over there, and he says he tried many places in Canada, and he says Calgary, Alberta is actually the best place for wildlife photography. And I'm like, holy moly, you know. And I really enjoyed last time I was there at Lake Louise. It's just so, you know, it's magical. It's just unbelievable how beautiful it is. I really like that area. I don't like cold winters, but that's why I don't like Edmonton. Whereas Calgary, it's in the south, right? It's the very bottom of Alberta, and you're protected by the mountains. And so quite often it's warmer than in Edmonton. And then you don't have very hot summers either. No, wait, they do have hot summers. They don't have hot summers in Edmonton, I think. Like, I know there's pros and cons to both locations, but Calgary is cool. It's, you know, it's a modern town. That's where they had the Olympic Games back in the day, right? So that's the plan. Yellowstone and then Calgary to get myself some affordable bachelor's or, you know, studio. I don't care. I'm used to hotels, so I'm okay with 20-30 square meters, which is like 350 square feet, you know. I don't need more than that. So anyway, stay tuned. I'll show you in a second. Hopefully we fix this. We fixed the panels. But yeah, the guy was very helpful at Chrysler, so it took him a while. But yeah, what can be tricky is that since I don't have these fasteners, right? It needs 2 fasteners over there. I told the OK Tie about this, and he says, well, hopefully we don't break them when they take it off, because if they break it when they take the panel off, like, what do you do? And the plan with the bottom one is I'm gonna be driving through US, so now I know I have that picture, right? So actually I'm gonna ask him for a part number. So I'll be going through many states where, of course, they have Chrysler dealerships, right? And my plan is to stop at a couple and just show them that picture with the part number and just say, hey, maybe you guys have it in stock. You know, maybe in the States it's a bit better than in Canada here. So eventually I'll find something, but now I cannot wait 3-4 weeks because I'll be moving. So I think I'm gonna leave probably tomorrow. Well, let me show you quickly what they did. So this is still the old one. So this turns out, I thought this would be part of this. No, so basically this is new one. See, no more scratches on this one, but I still have to replace this one and this one. And then in the back I have to deal with these 2 ugly scratches, but I'm gonna put a bumper guard protector here because this is plastic. You cannot fix it without repainting the entire thing. And here, so that's the new bezel, and there was scratches in there. You can still see them, but I couldn't find a matching paint from the dealer, you know, those pens or sticks, nothing, right? And so I just brought him a rust paint, and he put a masking tape in here. I said that make it like a square, as if it's, you know, like a factory kind of thing, right? and I think it looks pretty cool. So it masks most of the scratches, because there was a bunch of scratches in here under the bezel. And so yeah, now I just have to these I can fix. I know how to do it now. This I'll put a protector here, and yeah, this I'll try to find somewhere in the States. As I'm driving along, I'll stop at any Chrysler dealer I'll run into, because I'm afraid it might start leaking if it starts raining. I don't know. So this is new, and the guy was able to reuse the clips. There's two fasteners in here, and there was one clip in here. He was able to reuse the old one. So yeah, now just if I change this ugly piece and this, it should be okay. And then there's two scratches here. You can hardly see them anymore, because I fixed them with the polish yesterday. But now I have a wax and I have a sandpaper, so if they're still visible, I'm gonna fix them. But this was a big deal. This was a big deal. And that bezel, right? But again, like I said, I think it looks okay. Just these ones, like, see, that's where they try to pry the lid open. So anyway, I picked up my new cameras. So actually now that's why I'm going inside the Canadian Tire, to see if they sell this. I saw them on Amazon, but I cannot wait a week. That's when the delivery is, a week from today. So I want to go and see if Canadian Tire has any of these guard protectors for the bumper. And then I'm gonna buy some wax, just a small can of wax to fix those scratches there. And I have a towel, I have polish, I bought some sandpaper, and all I need is maybe some empty bottle just to create a soapy water spray. So that's it. So the next video will be about my cameras, okay?